Starting and running a business is hard, but you don't have to do it alone. Whether you're an established business owner or thinking about starting a side hustle to earn extra income, I am here to teach you how to show up as your unfiltered self, level up your business, and thrive as a mompreneur. Let's embrace the chaos and start enjoying the journey together. I'm Amy Traw, and you're listening to the Motivated Mompreneur podcast. Welcome back into the Motivated Mompreneur podcast. Today, we are chatting with Nicole Frazier, and we are talking about something that is so important as a mom, as a business owner, all of the hats that we wear, and that is your mindset. So with that being said, Nicole, welcome in.
Hello, Amy. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to chat with you today. We were talking before we hit record, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be so good, so juicy. But before we dive in, let's have you share with our listeners more about yourself, who you are, what you do, and who you help.
Okay, well, I am Nicole Frazier. I am a faith-based mindset coach, and I work with all kinds of entrepreneurs and help them conquer limiting beliefs, mindset blocks, self-sabotaging behaviors, and imposter syndrome so that they can reach their next level of success. And I specifically got into this journey because, I sort of fell into all those societal norms, and you got to go for the big title jobs, and you're not making it until you make six figures and everything like that. So I had this like big beefy career, Amy, with like the C-suite title. I was overseeing operations in 2 states, and then I completely burned out in 2019 and was like, is this really what success is? Is this what living my dream life looks like? No, right? I was making the money, had the things, and I'm like, I feel so empty and so burned out and so frazzled and fried all the time. So I'm a serial saver. I was able to walk away without like a real plan, and took my first, step into the entrepreneurial world and started my own business a month before COVID. Who knew, right?
I don't think any of us saw that one coming.
None of us knew. And I was like, you know what? I had this like heavy sales and marketing background. I know how to do the thing. So I built this business. It was a social media company, social media management company in the beginning. And girl, it like fell so flat. I almost imploded my business the first year because all these things that were lurking beneath the surface that I had no real idea that they were there, the imposter syndrome, these insecurities, these like limiting identities. I found it so hard to step out and be my own brand. And it was crushing getting my business off the ground. And I was like, if I keep going down this path, I'm not going to make it. All this work that I put in, and then this would be one of the biggest regrets I would ever have, knowing that I was the thing that held my business back. So even though I was a self-professed self-help guru, bought every book in, the bookshop, if you could always find me in the self-help section, I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get over these things. And that's when I connected with a mindset coach of my own, learned all about the subconscious, and overcoming that led me to becoming a certified mindset coach myself. Because Amy, I would come across so many other entrepreneurs that were struggling with what I had just overcome. And I was like, this is what you got to do. And they were like, you should be doing this. So now like it lights me up so much to do this every single day. And I really know that it is my God-given purpose to help people fully step into who they are and who God created them to be so that they can fulfill their big purpose.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. And thank you for sharing that, because we don't often hear about, I don't know if you want to say like the dark side of things or the not so glamorous side of things. But I think for most of us, we have hit that point of being so burnt out that finally one day we do question it. We're like, why are we doing what we're doing?
Yeah.
And taking the time to do the inner work and then redirecting. Like, I don't know. I'm just a big believer in that everything we go through in life has a purpose. It has a reason. And sometimes what we think is the answer, we get a little redirection. And when we just take the time to lean into that, that's where we grow. That's where we really start to step into that purpose. So that is absolutely incredible. And I really do thank you for sharing that. So,
Yeah.
something that a lot of moms deal with is the loss of identity. In becoming mom, we take on this new role and we kind of lose the identity of, all right, I am an amazing business owner. I am a spouse. I am all of these other things. I'm not just mom. So, how do you help your clients overcome some of those thoughts that start to pop up?
So I love this conversation because anytime somebody's trying to make a change, if you don't first align your identity with the changes that you're trying to make, the changes are always going to be short lived. And that was something I lived through, experienced the hard truth myself before I ever learned why and how. So, just a short little tutorial. Our brain is 95% made of subconscious thought. Only 5% of the thoughts that we are aware of are our thinking conscious brain. So, from ages 0 to 7, and this is great for moms because a lot of you probably have kids in that age range right now. How we always say kids are little sponges and we soak up everything. Well, that's because during those times of your life, your brain isn't obviously fully formed. So you are in this theta brainwave state. You're in a state of super learning. And you don't have the ability to reject information. That's why we can so easily get kids to believe in the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus and everything. If you see it, if somebody tells it to you, if you're witness to it, you just adopt it as truth. So a lot of the identities that we step into an adulthood, everybody's like, I'm becoming my mother. I'm becoming my father, right? It's like,
Guys,
yeah, that's all stored in there, right? So whether it was the right model or the wrong model, or just a limiting model, you sort of adopt that now when you step into that role. But it doesn't mean that's truly who you are and truly how you would do it if you just broke the freaking barriers and chains off of everything and was like, no, this is who I am as Amy, as mom, as biz owner. It doesn't look a little bit like my mom and then, or any of the other moms that I've seen. So, anytime that we're trying to make a change on the conscious level, which is why sometimes just reading the self-help books isn't going to work, is because you're trying to make a change using willpower. You're like, I'm going to show up this way. I'm going to get up at this time of the day now. And what happens is you only have so much willpower within a day. So once that runs out, now you're right back to where you started. I like to use the cookie illustration. I'm sure many of us have worked in like an office kind of setting, and somebody brings in the tray of cookies in the morning and you're like, I'm not eating those cookies, right? But by 3 o'clock, you're like, screw this, I'm having the cookie, right? The willpower's gone. so,
yes.
so that's how our identities work. And another thing, I know it's hard to illustrate when we're on a podcast, but there's something called the levels of your mind. And if you picture it like an inverted triangle, it's sort of like a funnel. At the very top is your purpose. Right below that is your identity. Then it's your values, your beliefs, your potential, your behaviors, and your environment. So if you change just your behaviors, it's so low in that funnel that it really only affects your environment. So you need to change your identity, because once you change and I don't like to look at it as a change. I look at it as just becoming and stepping into who you truly are, right? It's not like a fake it till you make it. It's who are you truly? Then what you value changes, what you believe changes, what you believe about your potential changes. Then your behaviors naturally align easily because you're like, this is who I am. And this is what somebody who is this does. Does that make a little bit of sense?
Oh my gosh, I love that because to me, I'm thinking like you almost embody that identity, and it's embodying that you don't have to rely on willpower, which like you described, is fleeting. Because yes, that cookie example is perfect. I have been there many a times, and it's not just one cookie. Then it's like, well, screw this. I'm going to eat another one too because I've been on a 10-hour shift, so I've earned that cookie. Darn it.
Exactly, exactly. And you used the perfect word. It's embodying. And when you shift into that more empowered identity, that truer, higher version of yourself, then change is effortless. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't have to think about it. So it's so important to start with that first. Because what happens, let's go back to the childhood example. You are told something about yourself, right? Oh, Amy's shy. Okay. What happens is in that moment, you decided to believe it. You didn't have the ability to reject it. So it was, excuse me, a limiting decision that becomes a limiting belief. You carry that forward that now I believe this about myself. So by carrying it forward and embodying it, now it becomes a limiting identity. And by the time we're into adulthood, all these limiting identities are piled onto us. I like to equate it to like that heavy backpack we all carried in the 90s. You chose to put that on and carry it forward, but you could just as easily put it down and let it go. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that is a perfect analogy. Just really shifting the way we're thinking about this because it makes it easier. Because decision fatigue is very real. It is a very real thing. I mean, even my life, like pre-kids, I would get decision fatigue. There would be a point, planning my wedding, like I don't want to make another decision.
Yeah.
If you're building a house, if you're doing anything, decision fatigue is real. So if we can almost change that subconscious narrative, and the example you used is perfect because I was told that, I was the shy kid. So
Mm-hmm.
stepping especially into the role of being a business owner and having to put myself out there, having to show up on social media and doing all of these things. Even with my first business, I was doing a lot of local speaking engagements as a way to gain visibility. And it took a lot of work to
Yeah.
overcome that. I was shy. And yes, it goes back to childhood.
Yeah. And what happens is it becomes like a set point in your mind,
Right,
almost
right.
like a thermostat. And remember that 95% of your subconscious will never make you a liar. So as you start to approach that thing, you start to have something that's called like approach avoidance, where it's like, oh no, like Amy's shy, so we can't do this thing, right? An easier way, an easier analogy is like health and fitness, right? You're like, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to be healthier and blah, 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 right? If deep rooted inside, you have the identity of somebody that's heavy, somebody that can't follow through long term, right? What happens as you start to get on that road to like losing weight and working out? You're like, your subconscious is like, this isn't really who you are. So you lose the 5 pounds or the 10 pounds. And then now you take that break, you take that pause, you stop working out like you were to get the results that you have. It's all tied into our identity. So the way I love to work with my clients is we shift this on the subconscious level with all kinds of modalities that therapists use and everything, and the changes can happen very quick. And what happens is you just start to realize like, oh my gosh, it's almost like that old identity is like this fuzzy memory that you can't connect emotionally to. And you're like, yeah, I sort of remember like I used to be like that, but no, that's not me. And you just step forward so empowered. And it's such a natural shift. I've experienced it myself. I watch my clients experience it every day. It's really something to sort of behold.
That's
So.
amazing. And to me, it seems like this is the perfect way that we can get out of that pattern of self sabotage, which we've all been in because, again, of those ingrained beliefs of that old identity.
Mm-hmm. So think of like the mompreneurs that are listening to this, right? A lot of it is shifting your identity from side hustler, freelancer, you know, mom working from home into that CEO mindset, right? How does Amy, the powerful business owner, approach her business every day? What time does she get up in the morning? What does she eat? How does she take care of herself? How does she value her time and relationships? What does she believe in work-life harmony? What is her focus like? When you shift into the identity of like, this is the version of me that gets to live out this dream, then all of those things don't become something that's like, oh, I got to wake up at 5 o'clock. If you choose to wake up at 5 o'clock, maybe you get up at 10 and it still all works, right? But when it aligns with who you believe you truly are, it just flows. And I think that's the sweet spot that we're all looking for, right? We didn't leave the 9 to 5 to now create a business that feels like it's forced and it's so hard. And I left 9 to 5 to work 24/7, right? And I still feel somehow unfulfilled.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That right there is so powerful because it's something I think every single business owner has gone through at one point or another where we just start to question that. And unless we're taking the time to dive in and really shed those limiting beliefs, fully embody that identity, we are going to hold ourselves small. We aren't going to grow as quickly and as much as we could because the world needs you. They
Mhm.
need the unique set of values and skills and the way you present things. The world needs you. There is so much abundance out there that, we all bring something to the table. So, if you are holding yourself back and playing small, take the time to implement what Nicole has taught you today because this will truly change your life. Nicole, this was amazing. Where can we learn more about you?
Well, I hang out most on Instagram. So you can find me on Instagram at Level Up Life and Co. And in the link in my bio, I have all kinds of free resources and ways to connect with me. And I love chatting about this stuff. I never get tired of it. So don't be shy to DM me. And I just thank you so much, Amy, for this thoughtful conversation. And I just love your energy and your whole vibe. And I'm so grateful to have had this opportunity to speak with your audience.
Oh my gosh, the feeling is absolutely mutual. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to connect with us and share your value. And until next time, stop dreaming and start taking messy action. You've got this. Are you loving what you're hearing? Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.